old ass braid out. You don't want to talk about it. It's so old. I need to take it down and wash my hair today. And while we do that, I want to talk to you guys because someone under one of my videos asked me why I'm so radical, or like what happened, what was a pivotal moment in my life that turned me into such a radicalist. And me personally, I think I'm an anarchist. I think we should burn it all to the ground. That's just me personally. The obvious answer, and the answer that comes to mind immediately, is always what I've been saying for the past 10 years or so, which is if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. You're just not informed enough, truly. If you are born with just an ounce of empathy and compassion for other human life, I think you immediately become radical. If I'm being honest with you, I swear to you, I think it was in my DNA a little bit. Because as a kid, I was always very inquisitive and very curious and always very distrusting of authority. I was one of those kids that if you told me to do something or you said that I had to do something, I always wanted to know why. And you'd better have had a good reason as to why, and it needed to make sense in my head, because I was never just going to do something because you told me to. When people would be because I said so, I'm not a good enough answer. No, that doesn't make any sense to me. I was like that since I got myself in a lot of trouble. I was like that since I was very, very, very young. It was really just in my nature to be kind of very curious, very quick. Everything had to make sense. I needed to know why. Another big part of it has to do with identity, right? And being a black woman, and just there's some of us who our existence is a political act, whether we mean to or not, and you need to choose about whether you're going to engage with it or not, and you're going to look into it. And from a very young age, I was experiencing all of these different isms without having a name for it or knowing what it was, but just being that's weird, that feels weird, and then later on in life being oh, that was sexism. Oh, that was racism. So it was one of those things where I was going to suffer from these things whether I acknowledged them or knew what they were, regardless. Then I went to high school, and in high school, the school that I went to, I swear to you, was 97% minorities. And we went to school, metal detectors, and we went to school every single day with cops in full bulletproof vest and guns every single day. And the youngest of us were 14. 14-year-old kids should not be seeing that every single day. And we were told that it was because we were violent and because we were essentially treated like cattle and a prep for jail. And treated like that because there was something in us that was all the same, right? Because we fought and we kids go smoked weed and stuff like that. And then just to come find out that our white counterparts were doing all the same exact shit but being treated very differently than us. All of them never have to deal with any of the consequences of it, because it turns out that getting into fist fights and drinking and partying and smoking weed is a really normal teenage thing to do. Wow, who would have thought? If only one of those two groups of kids was being tased and put in handcuffs over a little fighting and some weed. And the Sunday was that when I went off to college, I went to school for media studies, and I learned all about propaganda, and I learned about media, and I also learned, very importantly, about American propaganda. And this idea that anytime you're consuming anything American, you are being sold something and trying to figure out what is it that I'm being sold? What is it that they are trying to force me to think and believe in this moment? Yeah, I don't have one particular event to blame it on. It's just a perfect storm to create the monster that I am.